I've always been a supporter of the issue of fuel subsidy right from time. When we got to discover that it was a pure fraud. For instance, when Jonathan was talking about fuel subsidy, it was analyzed to the extent that it was just a pipe in the treasury of the national treasury where people used to loot money. When they bring in fuel, excuse me, I'm coming. When they bring in fuel, maybe at the cost of 100 naira, when they want to raise voucher, if you look at the difference, maybe up to 200%. And what did the federal government do? They will pay. These guys has looted Nigeria for years. But it's quite unfortunate that the same people that said that subsidy is fraud are now saying they want to remove or look into the issue of subsidy. That notwithstanding, if the federal government led currently now by Bola Ahmed Tinubu with the current price, so to say, that price can be fixed to that extent of it has now removed subsidy. People buying pump price at the price of 700. Does it mean with that 700 now subsidy has been removed and let the forces of demand and supply take place? I'm okay with that. If this is not done in this direction, that means we are actually going to have problem.
Why the present templates?
That's what I'm saying. Nobody has come officially to issue a statement or to tell Nigerians the reason why a pump price now is 700. Is it 700 on the ground that the subsidy has been removed? That's the question Nigerians should be asking themselves. Why are we buying 700 now? Does it mean that the subsidy has been removed? Does it mean that the forces of demand and supply will not determine the actual price we need to buy fuel? But that notwithstanding, I think the issue of this pronouncement was done in a haste. Bola Ahmed Tinubu is quite unfortunate. Given your level of experience, we know that you are actually, God forbid, I don't think you are capable enough. You have that energy, to run this kind of government. You understand? Because we have seen a lot of things developing on daily basis concerning your status.
But people around him will be able to inform him based on, of course, their findings.
I think he has appointed a presidential spokesperson. Then Dele Alake come out and tell Nigerians what we mean by these prices that have been fixed. Prices, does it mean that subsidy has been removed? Or the trend will still continue, the fraud will still continue? That's the question Nigerians need to ask. That's what we need to understand. You understand? It's a very big point. Up to now, the federal government have not come out to say, okay, this price is what is meant, it covers subsidy removal. That let market forces, the demand and supply, determine the price. And that is why we said, okay, Nigerians are buying fuel. What is the essence of increasing this thing? Giving us a fixed price for fuel.
If these fuels are being refined locally, that would have saved some costs and possibly reduce the price of such commodity. But now you have to sort it abroad and bring it down here. Why is it so impossible to, so to say, for Nigerian refineries to work, or individuals, private sector, to be encouraged to go into refining?
It is what I would say a right step in a wrong direction. That's what the federal government has just done. I don't see Bola Ahmed Tinubu as a leader. I'm being honest to you. If he is one, what he would have done is he wouldn't have gone into this issue of subsidy removal now.
It would have
You would have looked at issues of trying to cushion the effects of subsidy removal, activate our refineries to at least a functioning level. We have refineries there. Dangote refinery is not going to serve any purpose for Nigerians.
About 4 of them for crying loud.
That is lying dead in their respective locations. That is why I expected Tinubu to focus. And this thing can be done. Buhari was not able to achieve anything. After 8 years, APC government failed. And they brought this man again. I don't even, when I look at him, he's very, very unpresidential. Look at Tinubu very well. Sit down and look at him. You will know that this man, something is wrong with him. This man might not have the capacity to drive Nigeria to where they are. See, from what I'm seeing, it's like some forces behind the scene are. But what I'm saying now, that matters that it has to do with constitutional affairs, that as it regards to how Nigerians should be, how the administration will go. The wife, okay, you want to tell me that if he's going for a federal executive council meeting, the wife will sit be there, or will sit on the seat of the vice president. Something is going on. But that's not where I'm going. Let me explain to you the issue of fuel subsidy removal. I am an advocate of that, having done a little research on how these cartels run their subsidies.
Okay, you are in support of fuel subsidy removal.
I am in support, 100% in support of subsidy removal. But if you remove subsidy the way it stands now, with the landing cost and everything, we are looking at 1,000 plus per pump price. And because they still go out to go and bring fuel from outside, it will be very difficult for Nigerians to cope.
Considering the inflation rates, exchange rate as well.
Of course, it will be very difficult for Nigerians to cope. So what you would have done is not be too hasty to announce subsidy removal. The stakeholders are complaining that they were not consulted. What is wrong with these leaders? Why are they always distance themselves from the issue that has to do with the Nigerian system, the Nigerian masses? First and foremost, I don't know the Nigerian Labour Congress currently now, who is Adoda Wabara, whatever they call it, the former one is gone. Ajero, please to sit tight. Nigerian Labour Congress has done a lot of damage on the side of the masses. There has always been there. I remember what Oshomole did. I can never praise Oshomole for anything. Oshomole Mahmoud, the then Nigerian Labour Congress, has written his name in gold, even before he died. But you see this Oshomole is a disgrace. Oshomole is the one that initiated corruption in the Nigerian Labour Congress. What did he do? Obasanjo increased fuel 3 times under his watch. And the trend continues. Jonathan came the same thing. This Janadua came the same thing. Buhari came the same thing. The Labour has not been very, very effective in terms of defending the Labour community in Nigeria. I would advise Mr. Ajero, wherever he is, if he's listening, please, sir, in as much as I agreed with you that the federal government should return to the status quo first before any negotiation. Let that be their final stand. Then when federal government return to the status quo, we will now know the actual cost. We will now know the actual cost per liter if eventually fuel subsidy is finally removed. I don't know whether you are getting my point.
Exactly.
All these lists now, I've not seen it anywhere happen. Tinubu has already failed in the minds of Nigerians. Take it from me. He has collapsed Nigerian system finally.
Don't you think that is too early to make such submission?
My brother, they said a journey of 1,000 miles begin with a step. How can you make such announcements on the podium of your inauguration as the 16th president of Nigeria? It's unpresidential. There is no sign of intelligence in that such action. It's a slap on Nigeria.
Ever since the pronouncement of an end to subsidy removal or regime by the President Ahmed Bola Tinubu, what do you have to say with the recent, of course, development from the NNPC, given the new pricing template?
Once again, thank you for having me, Mr. Chibuze. I want to tell you that from my own perspective, federal government is confused. That confused because you cannot be talking of subsidy removal on one hand and the other hand you are fixing the price. It runs contrary to the meaning of subsidy removal. Because when you deregulate, you allow market forces, demand and supply, to determine the price. But under a scenario where you now fix price, you are going to deter people, investors from coming in. Because what encourages investors to come in is because the sector is robust, they have a space to play, it is not regulated as to determine your margin, profit margin. But under this current scenario where NNPC is fixing the price, to be quite honest with you, Mr. Chigoze, this is not the regulation. This is still under regulation. But who tell you, how do we know the margin or the profit margin they want the retailers to get? In a deregulated economy, whether oil and gas sector, whether power sector, any sector at all, globally, conventionally, what happens is you allow demand and supply to fix the price, the market forces to fix the price. But that is not what we are seeing today. But I think I'm comfortable with the position of NLC and TUC, who issued a joint press statement yesterday that it appears as if federal government is putting gun on the head of Nigerians, because you cannot call for a meeting for negotiation. Before the commencement of the meeting, you went ahead and announced a pricing template that, according to them, run contrary to principle of negotiation, and are calling on federal government to return to status quo antebellum so that they can come back and start negotiation. Because for me, I think it's unfortunate that even the current Mr. President, I'm talking of Ahmed Bola Tinubu, who in 2012 vehemently opposed subsidy removal, not because he do not believe in subsidy removal, but because he believed that the parameters, the needs that needed to be addressed have not been addressed.
You said, and have you gone through his letter in 2015?
Of course, he made mention about 2 or 3 major areas, which personally I've seen that it has not been addressed. Even currently, he mentioned about the care of the vulnerable. How do you address the challenges that come with it in terms of money that is in the pocket of the poor? He talked about rail infrastructure. And if you look at the nature of rail infrastructure in Nigeria, though Nigerian government under the last administration inherited the project procedure through which Nigerian government synergized with Chinese bank and they will build the rail here. And the last admission, I will tell you that they equally did credible well, but it's not sufficient to say it's enough to rely on as alternative means of transportation to road transportation, like what Bola Ahmed Tinubu said in 2012. So for me, I think the issue of alternative rail means of transportation have not been addressed. So if you have a situation where you maintain a position as an individual while in opposition, now you are the president. Those your concerns, you are now in the saddle. You have the power to address it. Why don't you address those things before going ahead to remove the subsidy? So for me, I think what we are seeing is not yet a total deregulation, but a government-controlled pricing system.
Do you think that Nigerian Labour Congress will call for a shutdown should the government refuse to, of course, alter his position?
From what we are made to understand, currently they say they are negotiating and they are going to continue negotiation. Negotiations have not broken down. It depends on the position of the government, because one thing is clear: NLC and TUC have called on the federal government to return to status quo, meaning renounce your fuel subsidy removal and go back to the former template of about 197 naira per litre of PMS, and the issue of the new template should be jettisoned. That is the status quo before you can now start negotiating from that point. So what is happening is, look as if federal government ambush and Labour, so that they will now start on negotiation on the basis of the new template. And for me, I think that is unfair in collective bargaining of this nature.
Okay, you stand with Labour's position.
Definitely, I stand with Labour. Labour is right. I think I will encourage Labour to stand their ground and ensure that they extract reasonable commitment from federal government before conceding to any agreement they want to enter with them. Because Nigerian government is known as a government that has history of not honoring agreements. We can cite the issue of resident doctors as an example. So if you are dealing with Nigerian government, I think you have to be careful. Make sure you extract enough commitment from the government and ensure that they implement substantial part of the agreement before you accept whatever conditions they are given. Because we are seeing that government, Nigerian government, not just the government anyway, successive government they are not responsible in terms of keeping to agreements.
There have been pockets of killings across the northern hemisphere. Who do you blame now? Is it Buhari or the current president?
You see, though it is premature to start assessing the performance of this government, but the truth is, the conscience is unambiguous about.
But he is the current Grand Commander of the Federal Republic.
That's what I was trying to make mention of. That the conscience is unambiguous about the function of the president, about the primary function, because the constitution says the welfare of Nigerians and their security shall be the primary purpose of governance. And if you as an individual have decided to govern the country and you have been given the mandate, it is not about whether you are just assuming office. The burden of securing lives and property rests with you. So for me, if we register killing in Zamfara, in Delta, in Sokoto, in Kano, in Lagos, name it, I think Mr. President should have questions to answer as to why are we registering this part of killing and insecurity.